Okay, it is Thursday, September 5th at 10:08 a.m. I would like to call this meeting of the Housing Authority of Travis County to order. May I please have a roll call?
Council, the Chair, Jimmy Pavers.
Present.
Vice Chair Cheryl Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Wilma Roberts.
Present.
Commissioner Laura Gochi.
Present.
Commissioner Judy Flores.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great. Okay, so item number 2 is we're going to do the oath of office for new board members. Do we want them to stand or?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a Bible?
And I think for photo op purposes, coming down might be better.
Okay, so okay, so bear with me because this is my first oath reading.
Do they have the camera?
That one's yours. I guess you're just going to gavel at the end. Okay, please raise your right hand.
Well, actually, hold on one second. We're not gonna be able to catch you on video if they turn the other way around. So, yeah. Sorry, we wanna make sure we catch your faces and.
You ready? Okay. Okay, please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Commissioner of the Housing Authority of Travis County
The duties of the office of Commissioner of the Housing Authority of Travis County.
and will do to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and
Too
defend
long.
To the best of my ability, preserve, protect, defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
and I do solemnly swear
And I solemnly swear
that I have not directly nor indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
contributed, nor promised to contribute any money
contributed, nor promised to contribute any money
or valuable thing,
or valuable thing,
or promised any public office of employment
or promised any public office of employment
as reward to secure appointment,
as a reward to secure appointment.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Picture? Okay.
New traditions. That's one. Evolution.
So do we get one?
No, we never got a
When
gavel.
you get reappointed, we'll get
Really
it.
sized gavel too.
I think it's engraved.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
It's in
saying.
it. It's in it.
Got the
It's on
names
the book.
on it and
There you go.
everything.
Oh, no.
You know, come on. Hey, that's called, what is that called?
Evolution.
Favoritism.
I've gotten plenty of free pens, so we're all set. Okay, item 3, public forum citizen communication. Is there anyone here who desires to speak?
Yes, so we have an excuse. How do you pronounce your name, sorry? Abia is going to be speaking on behalf of the council.
Okay. If you come to the front, please, and we allow 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Abia Bakai. I'm the new Policy and Research Director at BASTA. I'll be involved, which is building and strengthening tenant action in Austin, and I'll be involved in research on tenant-related policies in Austin. So I'm excited to be here and learn about the work you all have been doing. Please feel free to reach out. If you'd like to discuss anything at any point, I can give you my contact info. One thing we wanted to bring your attention to is that we've been hearing that there are widespread notices to vacate issues at the Alexander Oaks apartments with management, where tenants seem to be owing incorrect amounts based on recertification issues caused by the management. So this is a bit alarming, and so we wanted to see if this is being addressed. That's all for now, and thank you for letting me speak today. Looking forward to attending more meetings in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we also have Bryn Bradford from Boston Austin as well.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Bryn Bradford, and I'm an organizing intern at Bosta. I'm here today on behalf of HATC tenants who were originally living at Carson Creek and have now been temporarily relocated to other HATC properties during their renovation. The tenants would like to start by thanking you for meeting with them last month at Colorado Creek Apartments and for providing a physical copy of their balance, which now amounts to 0. It is my understanding that this meeting was designed to address concerns and provide tenants with information regarding relocation. However, tenants want to express that the time between receiving the original balance letter without itemization and the 0 balance sheet was long and stressful. This delay, combined with the lack of transparency, was worrisome among tenants, and they were concerned that any outstanding balance could impact their ability to relocate and potentially jeopardize their return once renovations were completed. But also, tenants appreciated what seemed to be competent movers. Specifically, Robert Kiddling stated, "Thank you, y'all are doing a great job." However, tenants still feel uncertain about the duration of their renovations and are concerned that the process might be prolonged by contractors. They request a clear timeline to ensure that all parties are aligned and aware of these in their expectations. In addition, during the meeting at Colorado Creek Apartments, tenants were informed that they would be able to move back to their apartments at the same rent price if they so choose. Given that many tenants are on fixed income, they want to confirm that this promise will be honored. Furthermore, tenants are experiencing confusion due to the conflicting information regarding who to address their checks to and the correct payee details. They request clear and consistent guidance on this matter to avoid any further complications. Lastly, this may have been communicated already, however, I may have not gotten this, but I want to note that Boston tenants should have been notified in advance about the change in schedule last month, scheduled board meeting. We have attended every meeting over the past year, and it takes significant effort to coordinate with tenants who are prepared to give their testimony at the time. Well, thank you for your attention to these matters.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, item 4, consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from the August 14th, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, so we are going to skip down to discussion item 6A because we have Dr. Larry Wallace here. And then we will go back to our action items and review those accordingly. So, Mr. Wallace, if you want to.
Kevin, could you slide one more chair up there?
Grab this one right here.
Oh, make him do it.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here. My name is Larry Wallace Sr. I'm the founder of the Black Men's Health Clinic, and we launched 2 years ago. And as I listen to your conversation, healthcare and housing are on parallel tracks. And what I have learned is there's more demand than we have supply. So I can certainly appreciate your work. We have 3 pillars that we work from. It's mental health, social determinants of health, and primary care. And in the space of social determinants of health, housing fits into what we do. So it's a privilege to be here and to share a little bit about what we do. There's a video that we're going to show. We only have 10 minutes, so we're going to go real quickly. After the video, Dr. Wallace, he'll present additional information. So thank you again for allowing us to be here.
Appreciate it. Next slide, please. And one real quick. So what you'll see this video is for FY23. So far for FY24, we pretty much almost tripled those numbers of what you're going to see in there. And you'll hear directly from Jason Fournier, the CEO from Community Care. But we have similar partnerships with Integral Care and Lone Star Circle Care. And what you hear from Jason, is pretty much what we're trying to establish in collaboration and partnership, especially with the initial discussion with Patrick over there, as we're intentionally moving more into what we're doing at no additional cost to our clients into the housing in the support area. Yes.
It ends and starts again with the relationship. Why do we have to do what we do? And the reason we have to do what we do is because we understand the issues and the barriers that black men and all men of color really face.
Usually, you don't see things that are focused on our well-being, right? This is focusing on our well-being holistically.
We're meeting people where they're at, and then also it's not hard to meet people when you already are part of the conversation, when you're a part of the culture. So that alone helps kind of bridge that gap between the fear and the mistrust of medicine, and then also actually having people say, oh, these experiences can be good, they can be enjoyable, they can be informative, and they can be non-judgmental.
Even though, the Black Men's Health Clinic sees everyone, right? But its focus is target population on black men who need this kind of relief.
We try to remove all the barriers that they face to make sure that they can be in a safe place, a place where they can be restored. It's a place that gives hope and safety. Our tagline is, care you can trust.
The MAP program is Travis County's indigent care program. It's a critically important program. It's one for which taxpayers here in Travis County decided they were going to increase their property taxes to ensure folks who otherwise might not be able to access care of their neighbors could gain access to services. We know Austin is become less affordable over the last several years. And yes, they may have insurance, but they're not able to afford the co-payments because the cost of living is so high.
Just understanding that when you're dealing with a certain population of under-resourced or maybe homeless or unhoused individuals, they have a lot of more barriers than your average person. Imagine sleeping outside in a tent and then waking up trying to get to a doctor's appointment. So you have transportation barriers, you have mental barriers, you have long-term substance abuse where these individuals are trapped in this lifestyle and in this environment, and they can't even get to these appointments.
We go to where men work, live, and play. We don't set up a clinic and say, come to us, but we go to you. And we do that through basketball league sponsorships, barbershop. We don't just bring you into our space and wish you well. We walk this journey with you for life.
I think that's what's probably most unique is I've had folks say, why wouldn't you just do this yourself? Why wouldn't you just directly employ the outreach staff? I think we gain credibility through the credibility that Black Men's Health Clinic has.
Let me just express my appreciation for all that have supported this vision. It was out of the box. It was something that others have not done before. Everything we are doing and have done is for others. 35 years in healthcare administration, this clinic, this project that we brought together means more to me than anything I've done.
Hopefully the video provides a very concise of kind of what we're doing and what we're focusing in on. I'm Dr. Larry Wallace Jr. I serve as the Senior Director of Operations for the Black Men's Health Clinic. What you'll see in the next slide is basically the overview of what the organization is about. The way that we're partnered is funding through public health entities directly focusing on care coordination, patient navigation. Coordination as far as getting them scheduled for appointments with the right providers based upon where they're at, what their hesitancies are. Navigation from a standpoint of making sure that they're more comfortable, that they're more informed about what that's going to look like, so they don't show up with the wrong information, not filled out correctly, and so forth, to regain trust back into the same system that they're paying tax dollars into that was established to support them. That is the whole mission jointly. And we do this at no additional cost to the clients. That's how we're funded, is to help improve the system, utilizing and leveraging the system. Next slide, please. As you heard from Larry Sr. talking about the 3 areas and the spheres of influence that we try to have, the biggest uniqueness is our partnership with 2 federally qualified healthcare centers through business associate agreements, so we can actually be a part of the individual's journey, especially when it comes to signing the consent form for us to be able to coordinate and schedule things for them. So it's not just a regular email, schedule appointment, and you have to wait to hear back from that individual or get some word from someone else telling you, usually with other health and advocacy organizations. So the goal and the desire here is knowing the individuals that you are supporting, knowing the individuals that are going through your programs, where could there potentially be a connective tissue with what we're doing, what we're supporting on, to be able to help, right? You're helping in the social determinant of health space, but we also know the stressors and the other things that happen. What other things can we help add to what you're doing that we're being funded for, but we're leaning in on what you're being funded for to support the same individual, hopefully more holistically, in rebuilding that trust overall into all the agencies that are established for them. We also have a unique partnership with Integral Care, a joint created position that is housed with us. So that uniqueness again is joint positions, 2 created through Community Care specifically, joint hired, joint assessed, and a joint hired position with Integral Care. Never done before, took over 2 years for both organizations to get to that level. If you look at the next slide, this is basically how we focus the attention, working with the system first, enhancing how the system is engaging with those hard to reach, trust already lost individuals. And then at the same time, branding and messaging that is not just for broke or indigent individuals, but everyone should be treated like a VIP, whether you have insurance or don't have insurance. So that's where you see the secondary population coming into play. So we have a good mixture between MAP, self-pay, and those with insurance. Next slide, please. What you'll see here is just the uniqueness of the model. There is not another one specifically like it, even with the analysis from Community Care, Central Health, and some of our partners. This is actually a piloted, in a sense, new strategy that's working with the system that is also focused, targeting intentionally on Black men. Again, in this saying, I'll say systemically, if you can help improve the state of reality for the most disparate population, you improve the system for all populations. And so that is kind of the systemic approach as well. Next slide, please. And this is just showing you again the relationship difference between what we're doing and how we're approaching and how we're intentfully trying to make sure we're just not scheduling people for appointments and so forth, but we're teaching collaboratively with the system how to improve how it provides those services, because hopefully now they're getting information they would not get otherwise. And as you can see, that's just the partnership between the doctor, joint hired position, to the behavioral health specialist, another joint hired position, and we just created a joint director position when it comes to managing community health workers. Next slide, please. And then this is just a couple slides of other efforts and collaborations we're doing where we're just intentionally working with systems to be able to, in our aspect, help change the way messaging is occurring to this population. Trying to make it more personable than usually the academic or the medical terminology. Next slide. Clinical aspects. Next slide. And then collaborations we're doing with Austin Community. Again, we know that there's not that many resources, even if you do create access. So we're working with those that are in the system, going to become new employees of the system, to be able to get closer to individuals where they're actually at, knowing that's the best way to get them into a clinic to get more fuller, robust services. Next slide. And then that's just what we're doing in an area like the city of Manor, where they don't have a health entity or a health authority. How are we helping them become more knowledgeable in what the actual needs are, so they can better manage and navigate funding? Next slide. And then this is just our board. We've intentionally hired where it's people from the community, different disciplines, backgrounds, and our board is more specifically the backgrounds of experience within the health space. So that's how we do that balance between what our role, what our mission is, but at the same time, making sure what we do and what we present and how we engage is more focused on the individual than the clinical. Next slide. And that is it. We're open to answer any questions that you may have, but hopefully this can be a beginning of a collaboration between our organization and your organization, especially as we're moving into dedicated presence at places like Community First, Sunrise Navigation, Downtown Austin Community Court, and others.
So, it's sort of just brass tacks. Effectively, how could HATC support what you're doing, like access to the residents? You know, I'm just curious if you guys have ideas about.
We have not necessarily brainstormed that
Okay.
far. I think with this one, Patrick, if I misspeak on anything, please clear it up. It was one of what we're doing, what y'all have going on, where we're going in FY25 starting in October, and wanting to at least have an initial presentation of who we are, what we're about, what we're doing. Again, is there a cost? Is there not all those things that matter for y'all's buy-in to say, yes, we want to pursue and see what is viable, what can be done, and what would that look like?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I think the idea is fantastic. You know, I think that it's much needed in our community. And I think that there are, especially, you know, when we're looking at working with, you know, people that are considered low income or homeless, that there's an opportunity for us to possibly team together. There are a couple of ideas that kind of went through my mind as you were presenting, and that was one where you know, we've teamed with Big Austin, and Big Austin has been very helpful in going out to our properties and meeting with our properties and understanding what some of their needs are. And I think that if we could possibly get the two, you know, organizations to team up with each other as we meet with, you know, as they work with us on meeting the needs of people in, you know, each of the properties that we have. And you can see that it's growing, right? You know, so, you know, it'll be even a broader outreach, I think, across Travis County that, that, you know, you may be able to reach. And, you know, of course, once you get inside, there are so many other opportunities too, I think. You know, people attend churches, right? People are members of other organizations that, you know, they can share what your mission is and have you to come out and reach and connect with other people. So I think it's great.
Absolutely, appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
In addition to what Commissioner Brown has indicated, there are church organizations that are doing things around the country. I think of one that has a entire clinic, and the membership of that church is has 5 doctors that serve 1 day a week at that office, just to satisfy and serve not only black men but also the black community that come in and do work. So, and I realize the focus, but there's problems with women these days also, so you may want to expand that compass to, I know it's a starting point, but there may be some way incorporate some of the other people, especially with for what recently happened with the Supreme Court ruling a couple of years ago. So.
No, absolutely. We're definitely open to supporting everyone. We've had some females come through, some youth come through, but I know the mandate is focusing particularly on black men.
Yeah,
but we are not turning anyone away. It may assist where we can with the confines that we have, that we've established based off of our mission, but ensuring that they get the proper handoff to the right provider partner that we have for the more robust services.
Took me 6 times to get the right doctor in place because some of them run you through the mill. You got 2 minutes to be with you, and they're out.
Exactly.
I wanted to thank you for your work. Your mission clearly supports a critical need. What does your self-pay structure look like?
So the self-pay, because we're utilizing, do you want to speak to that more than me? I mean, you the
Well,
healthcare background.
No, that's fine. Since we open up our doors to all men, regardless of your ability to pay, it's just like any other medical practice. You depend on revenues to offset expenses. But in our case, we recognize that many of our men are low income, and they come from an economic situation where they can't even afford to pay. Fortunately, we've gotten some dollars where we can serve as payer of last resort. So what we do, first of all, is do you have coverage? If not, we help you if you qualify for coverage, including the MAP program. When we exhaust all avenues, when we come down and there's nothing, then we're still going to take care of that man, because we recognize that if we turn him away, it's going to cost more money to the whole system. And so we're really trying to get ahead of the curve, and so that's our approach. Nobody is turned away because of money.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the uniquenesses of the partnership, because then we're able to leverage what the public health system can be able to do when it comes to individuals that may not have insurance. And then where we are able to bridge through this joint partnership is those that may not be eligible, but they still, after they pay bills or whatever it may be, fall up underneath. And so we're not necessarily having to fully pay for clinical services. We're able to divert those funds and focus more on where the gaps still exist.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, let's stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you.
We hope to see you again.
Appreciate it.
Okay, moving back up to item 5, action items, resolution number HATC 2024-12, to approve entering into Texas Palmer Austin CCFLP as a general partner and ground lessor of the property known as Bellingham Apartments, 6816 Boyce Lane, Austin, Texas, including formation of appropriate entities to perform such roles and authorization of staff to take appropriate action to accomplish.
Yes, so we have Bill and Melissa Fisher with Rise Residential here. I think, Melissa, you're going to do the presentation, correct? Or are you just going to answer questions?
Answering questions.
So I believe we will go into executive session. I'm not sure what the inclination of the board is in terms of them providing any context prior to such, but that is your choice.
Well, I received a memo that, I mean, if you could just give me the state of affairs. You're 90% occupied.
Sure, yes. We are converting to our, permanent financing structure shortly, within the next 30 to 60 days. Ready to roll. We are just hoping to bring you all in as partners.
Okay. Anybody have questions? Okay.
I do. So are you going to be able to provide us operating statements for the last 3 months?
I believe, I thought we did, didn't we? We had a trailing 12 sent over.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We'll discuss it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
And I
Any
have that
questions?
here. I have a handout for everyone if that would help, and it also includes the trailing 12.
Yeah, well, let's do that. Do you need any copies?
No, I think I have 5. 6, including
Okay.
it.
Yeah. After
Well,
we
I
get
take that
this-
back. I'm sorry. This is a pro forma, but I do know that we sent it over, so maybe we could print it.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through the other resolutions before we go into executive session? Or-
It's up to you. Well,
We could do that, sir.
yeah, let's do that.
go to the
Okay.
Let's wait on those.
Okay.
Okay,
We're gonna table
we're gonna table that. Okay, on to item B, resolution number HATC -2024-13 to amend the land use restriction agreement for Maynardtown Apartments to establish an official age restriction.
Okay. I'm not sure if Carl, is Carlos on?
Hi, good morning, yes.
Okay, so, how are we gonna put that down? Okay. So this is interesting. We were in the, obviously the intent and goal, we can pull that one down. The intent and goal was, yeah, we don't want that presentation up. So the intent and goal for Maynardtown, as would be the case, is to continue to increase occupancy, obviously at 100%. So as a result of such, we were in discussions with obviously Carlton and looking at ways of doing such. When we actually reviewed the LURA in detail, the predominant assumption was that it was age restricted for all units. However, the LURA is silent on that issue specifically, so that caused us to be, and we have a staff report that we need to pull up, Kevin. We had been in discussions with both obviously Carlton and TDHCA regarding the matter, and they made us aware of the fact that the funding for it, while with the intent in the initial application was for it to be a senior designated building, it was never codified in the language of the closing documents relative to it being a senior building. So in order to ensure that that is done correctly is why we're bringing it forward to bring it to you today. The other issue relative to that was that the language made reference to 60 and not 55. Okay, so two things, that it was absent on the issue of age restriction, and based on the funding source, the age restriction should be 60 and older. The current occupancy at Maynard has only one person that's not 60 years of age or older, and TDHCA has been willing to both amend the law and to provide us a waiver for that one resident who will be turning 60 very shortly. So the staff report essentially summarizes that information, and then the attachments, if you go down further, the attachments essentially is correspondence between us and TDHCA regarding the issue of the age restriction and the ability to officially designate the building as a senior building for ages 60 and over.
Okay.
Now, if they're handicapped,
Right, so with 60, so any senior building
under
means
60.
seniors and persons with disabilities, so,
Okay.
which is not age
Yeah,
specific.
okay, so just wanted to make sure that was
Yes,
included in that.
seniors and persons with disabilities. So any designated senior building for any federally funded program would allow for persons with disabilities regardless of age.
So, that's-
Okay.
So Patrick, within the LURA, it had stated somewhere 60 years of age, and that's why TDHCA is referencing that instead of us being allowed to do 55 plus, correct?
It actually is absent on the issue of age. So what essentially happened, just to go into further detail, we got additional funds from, Carlos, correct me if I'm wrong, was it the Federal Home Loan Bank?
Wells Fargo?
Wells Fargo, I'm sorry. Was that the ones the four that were age restricted?
Right, but also the TDACA LORA does include that language as well, just to clarify.
Yes, okay, thank you. So there were 4 units that were age restricted, that suggest that the units need to be 55 and over, because the board, in their discussions at the time, did intend for the building to be designated as such, And so the funding for such was appropriate given what their intent was. However, the funding that we received actually required the designation to be 60, but for whatever reason, there was no follow through on that at the time of the funding of the award. And so this was only really made clear more recently as it relates to this. So to ensure that we are in full compliance, the directive was to designate the building as a 60 and older building, and that would in fact put us in full compliance with the funding that we received. And there is no adverse impact to the residents that obviously are living there.
So to follow up on that, would TDHCA allow you to do 55 plus?
No.
That way to increase your application pool? No.
The directive was,
60,
the answer
like
we
I
got
said.
was no, that it
Okay.
needed to be 60 and 60 and above. And that they would give us a waiver for those that were under 60, and there was only one tenant who was under 60 years old, and they're actually 59, so.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution HATC -2024-13?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, item C, to amend the CEO Executive Director contract. So with our general counsel and Patrick, we've been through a couple months of negotiation, and finally we have a finalized document, which I circulated to all of you. And so this is a motion to amend the contract, and it eliminates all the references to SHFC, but largely keeps with minor exceptions, keeps everything else in place. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or has had a chance to review, but happy to entertain discussion on this. Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve resolution number HATC-2024-14?
I move that we approve resolution number HATC 2024-14.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, so item 6, we've done A. B, overview of the Open Meetings Act. We're going to do that another time, probably so we can get the full treatment, which will take an hour. Okay, so on to item C, Carson Creek update. Carlos.
So just to let you all know, Carlos is attending a housing summit that's being put on by the Abilene Housing Authority, and they kindly asked us for our participation in that event, and Carlos was willing to do such, so that is where he is. And just wanted to, he is taking time out from the summit to provide us a summary today. So thank you, Carlos.
Hi, good morning, all board members, and welcome to the new board members not here with us. Wanted to give you a brief update on what's been going on. As far as renovations, our contractor has pulled all the building permits. They installed the exterior siding on all the vacant units except for buildings 9500 as well as 1410. They've completed the interior demo for all the vacant buildings, with the exception of those two same buildings. Pressure washing has been prepped for the exterior paint for all of those buildings as well. We've extracted electrical components for one of the buildings, and we'll be focusing on the remaining buildings this upcoming month. We've replaced the deteriorated wood fencing. The last week of August, we demoed AC units, inspected as well as treated all of the vacant units, including actually all of the units there for pest control related issues. For the for the paint that's coming up, we'll be doing that excuse me, mid-September or so, once all of the other remaining buildings are vacant. As far as relocation, we've managed to relocate all of All of the current tenants, with the exception of one, they are currently in the application process. Our relocation team is helping them through that application process in completing the paperwork, meeting with them on site, as well as completing any pet screenings or any pet paperwork related to it. We're also assisting tenants transferring gas as well as electric services. As we actually even held a meeting there at Colorado Creek, inviting all of the tenants. For those tenants that were not able to attend, we went to each of their doors, gave them a brief update, provided them with all of the notices that were there as well, and gave them a quick update on what's been going on. We have been sending out our weekly notices to the tenants. This week, we are scheduled to mail out those notices to those tenants that have already relocated, with the exception of one. And then we have also addressed some of the issues that were brought up regarding some of the delinquent notices for those tenants there at Carson Creek. Our manager has set meetings with them, Christina, and we've clarified any confusion with those tenants and help them reach that zero delinquent account. Any questions?
No, the only thing that we heard earlier from the BOSSA representative that there were notices, I guess, that went out to
people at Alexander.
So I think what they were referring to were and I'm sorry to cut you off. It was regarding the delinquent balance notices, those 30-day notices that were being given out. These are procedures that we follow for any delinquent account balance. These are notices for any high balances that we have. We have actually set up meetings with any tenants that are willing to discuss the issue. We are discussing them there on site, pulling up their ledger, and then going line by line item, discussing where the issue is and finding solutions to that as well. We have also been referring them, if they're true balances, right? We've been referring them to assisting agencies with the legal aid services. They've been a great help with El Buen Samaritano.
Okay, and then speaking of Carlson Creek again, in terms of projected dates and when the restorations are completed, has that been shared with tenants as well?
Yes, during the meeting, the question did rise. I did let all of the tenants know that we're verbally that we're completing this project is to be completed by December of this year. So by then we will make sure and bring them right back. As soon as the units become available, we'll start bringing the tenants back in.
Right, but even if there are some delays, the assurance that we will give them is that they will still have housing, and that's something that we are covering. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have a 6-month lease currently with their current temporary location. So if there is a delay, they will still be covered. And they have been let known that once they come back, the rents are not going to go up. They will continue the same.
Thank you. I just wanted to be clear on how we're addressing those concerns. Thank you so much.
And
Yeah,
Carlos, if you don't
and then just to add, real quick, these meetings that we're hosting over at Colorado Creek, they've been very nice to allow us to utilize one of their rooms there, and so we're going to be hosting these each month, providing renovation updates and then answering any additional questions that they may have.
Carlos, if you would also, it's going to be important to document these conversations and things that you tell them verbally. So you may want to do a memorandum of understanding of something to that effect, and let them know and send that to them with the assurances that you've stated here at the meeting. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for the update.
I'm going to make a motion that we go into executive session now, under Texas Government Code annotated 551.072, real property. So if we could have Patrick and Charles stay. And then is Jim?
We have,
He's on the line? Okay, good.
Go
Chair Jimmy Hager.
Present.
Vice Chair Cheryl Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Wilma Roberts.
Present.
Commissioner Laura.
Present.
Commissioner Judy Floyd.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great. Well, okay, so we're going to return to Section 5, Resolution HATC 2024-12. We are going to table this motion for this resolution, but I would like to make another motion, and that is motion to authorize Attorney Jim Plummer to move forward with negotiations on the terms as discussed in executive session.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are on to item 7, CEO Executive Director's Report, Vouchers. Christina, who's not here anymore.
Yes, so I'm going to provide an overview in Christina's behalf as soon as we pull up the presentation. As required, we are working on the administrative plan supplement, the MTW supplement, and that's a requirement. And so that's being worked on and then being posted for public comment, and then it'll be coming back to you all for approval. So that's currently underway. The plan is on the website for the public to view, and then we will have a public hearing at the next meeting for approval for submission to HUD. We also required to do that for the Continuum of Care grant as well. We needed to make a budget amendment, and that is also currently in the works. A lot of this has to do with policy changes and annual requirements, as you can see. And so we are sort of in the throes of doing those things. The only thing I will also highlight, other than what's in the report that you guys received in terms of occupancy and lease up, which is going fairly well, we are also working on identifying someone to assist us with portability. In addition to, since Olivia's absence, we've not had a social worker, and we are believe that's solely needed. So we're going to be we're advertising now for both of those positions.
Okay, great.
Any questions?
Question for you. Your COO position?
Yes, I was going to get to that under organizational development, but I can tell you now. So the COO position, we did have a panel that included an executive director from Texarkana and other members of the staff. We selected 4 applicants, interviewed 3 of those, all very qualified, all either previous EDs or COOs, and we have made a selection, and that person just accepted. His name is Dr. Michael Threet. He is in Dothan, Alabama, and he is currently, although he's been an ED before, he's currently a COO at his authority. And we look forward to him coming in a couple months.
Okay. Affordable housing. Carlos, is he still here?
Hope so. If not, I will.
Hi,
Yeah,
good, yeah, I'm here. Hi, good morning. The HATC and Carlton staff are focusing on the delinquent balances, lease renewals, lease violations, and application, while maintenance continues to address all of the submitted work orders. We set and hold meetings on site with each one of the tenants that is willing to discuss their balance or lease violations to clarify and find solutions, as well as complete their lease renewals while there. Our leasing staff is focusing on processing applications to fill all the vacancy. On another note, Big Austin has hosted a Be Your Own Credit Boss workshop and assembled a back to school backpack giveaway on each site. I have Christina here. She's present there to elaborate a little bit more on our occupancy, delinquency applications, and any other topics you guys would like to discuss. Christina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning. It's been a very busy but yet successful month for us with our main topic focusing on delinquency and our vacancies with staff changes, training, and pushing current day-to-day operations to ensure that we're moving in the right direction. I probably want to report the steps that we took with each property. First, we send out notifications to the residents identifying their balances. After that, we audited each account, those who choose to come in and discuss their balances. After we confirmed the balances, we then forward them to legal aid with all transparency, and they were referred to El Buen for their balances to get paid in full. So moving to Maynardtown, right now we're at 91% occupied with those 3 vacancies that we're still pending our criteria to be revised to allow us to move forward with our applicants that are on the wait list. Right now, our current delinquency is 6,868. 7 families are current, which includes out of that 3,643. And we have 1 tenant that is past due, which is Miss Regina, that was brought up by Basta. Well, we then had made contact with her, we identified her case, and we discovered that and referred her to the legal aid, which they're now assisting with paying her balance in full. We are anticipating that she will be transferred to Maynardtown 2 in a 1-bedroom at the lower percentage, where there she'll be able to afford her rent going forward. And she is happy to wait for that unit to come available after accommodating her as much as possible in the Maynardtown 1 is right now. I know the confusion was that we had the bookkeeper that exited our team and now bringing on another one. We are now addressing each property as it rises. So right now, that's finalized everything for Maynardtown. Moving forward, Carson again, we took the same steps to address everybody's accounts and issues. Everybody is current, which today is their last day, so we got $3,342 of that, which is all current. And then we only have 2 household members that are on our delinquency and adding to 16,100. And those 2 households has been referred to El Buen, and they are assisting with their rent being paid. So right now we have, including September's rent, $19,442 as our total delinquency, with the exception of 2 units that are seeking legal aid. So there's no evictions that will be filed at Maynardtown or Carson Creek. Right now we are sitting at an 81% occupancy with 3 vacants pending the rehab to fill them up. Now moving forward with Eastern Oaks, we did the same approach as well. Right now our total delinquency is $10,447. $3,747 is all current rent, which they're still not due. As of today's the last day. And out of the whole community at Eastern Oaks, there was 1 household that is taking they're at $6,700, which is a true balance that she has a promise to pay. And also, we are referring her to the legal aid, so she's in the process of getting that cured herself through her 401k coming, or through assistance, whichever comes first. So we're doing good on that as well. No evictions will be filed. Right now we're sitting at 93%. We have 3 vacants. from those 3 vacants, we have 1 in compliance and 2 in process of filling those units up this month. Moving forward with our big property, Summit and Alexander, right now we are, this is our final property to finalize our audits on every community. But we did discover that there are some corrections that are needing, and that's due to lack of prior management, which I really don't entertain. I just try to bring the resident current. So right now we're waiting on information for the residents so we can get their ledgers corrected. So right now our total delinquency at those 2 properties are $109,234. However, 48,994 are needing corrections that we are in process, and those are only 6 households that we are pending documents to bring their accounts up to par. And so that that amount will be adjusted as soon as we get their renewals and everything caught up. However, we did manage to get 12 of our household for assistance, and that's going to be 38,612 already being assisted to our residents. Right now, we only have 1 eviction that we're going to move forward with, and that's due to her not coming in or trying to resolve or help us help her situation. So that eviction will be filed this month. Also including, we still have promises to pay.
Christina, how long have you been trying to get in touch with that particular tenant?
Well, we basically, we made contact, and her response was, they've been trying to evict me for the longest, so go ahead and try it. I'm not going to participate. So after she told us that, we decided to move forward to the residents that do want to get their accounts back up into par. So she's just not trying to cooperate. But we've been reaching out to her since I've been here, like 3 months, trying to get her to come in, get everything updated. So it's basically out of the whole 144 units that I serve, she's the only one that I'm confident to say that I'm ready to move forward with.
Okay, and we have everything documented
Yes,
in terms
we
of
have all our paperwork in order, all the documentations, and we're just ready to present it because she's sitting at 11,460, and it's all a true account. So as you can see, all of our residents are getting assisted by the legal El Rio Grande legal aid and being referred to get their balances paid up in full. However, she is just not trying to even go that route. Yesterday I did assist one of the residents at Carson, the last lady. We stayed on the phone with the legal aid for like 3 hours, but it's well worth it because she's at 7,400 at the moment. So her balance is now going to be paid in full. So come next month, hopefully, we did get our first assistant payment yesterday. So it's taking approximately 2 weeks after legal aid forwards the account to the El Buen, the assistant agency. The reason why we went that direction because the $20 million that was offered for rental assistance grant that's in place right now, the only way we can get those funds are going through the legal aid. So after reviewing the account and knowing that it's a true balance, that's where we felt comfortable and decided to refer them, which was our best decision that we made so far because all of our residents are being paid up in full and focusing on current delinquency and even getting 1 month grace. So they'll actually be able to having to pay their rent in October. So they have enough time to gather the funds so they won't fall on this same track.
Christina, my problem is how did those numbers get that far out of whack?
Well, to be honest with you, sir, I really don't know. I heard a lot of stories in the past about staff and them not reporting or not completing certain things. So right now, I really don't entertain that with the residents. I just reverted to, we're here to help you and trying to get your account. I don't understand what happened in the past, but as of right now, let's go ahead and get your stuff caught, and we're honoring that. So if they do show us proof that they sent something last year to somebody and it wasn't never done, we're going back and adjusting their accounts that far. Okay. For those that have that documentation of them reporting their change of incomes.
And then historically, you have tracked a history within the last 3 months of how many times you've tried to work with the individual that is being evicted?
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. We have all the, we actually included in each file a communication log. So every time any staff member communicates, we jot it down. So if we do need those, information, we have it in the file.
I have a question. The audits that you're completing, is it just on individuals that have a balance, or did you go, since there were so many discrepancies, did you go through and audit everyone's accounts? Even
To
if
be
they
honest
weren't
with you,
paid?
we're doing a lot of cleanup right now, so we're focusing on the delinquency part. However, maintaining every renewal and certification currently, so therefore, this won't happen in the future. So basically, right now, we're just focusing on the ones that have a delinquency balance. And as the people come up for renewal, we'll be able to therefore, complete their renewal on time and review their account at the same time. But they don't have any balances, so that's a first indication that everything is good with their household.
And just to add onto that real quick, sorry. So we are addressing every single one of those delinquent balances, although primarily since those other tenants are coming in and want to discuss those balances, those are the our first ones that we're targeting, and then we're moving down the line to each and every other of those delinquent accounts.
I'm glad to hear that. My second question was going to be, what are we doing moving forward to make sure that something like this doesn't happen in future? But I think you've addressed that. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, ma'am, but definitely staying current with all day-to-day operations is one of our challenges that we are, my team in place is now capable of handling. And we're moving, all offices are open and residents are able to do business on each site. That was a game changer for everyone and the residents. Now our main focus right now is just identifying the little tools that we just need. We just got our functional printers over there as of yesterday, so we'll be able to be 100% operable at each site. And that was one of our main issues, where we were working out having to travel back and forth, and the day goes by so fast, and it was mainly on the road. So now that all offices are able to and maintain the workloads on site. And with my staff, we have weekly meetings, trainings. I know everybody's new, but they're passionate team members that are willing to go above and beyond, and that's basically what we need. Focusing on our customer service on top of catching up and building new relationships. And I know it's been a challenge and it's been a horse scene, but however, I'm confident enough that every month that passes, we are going in the right direction that we need to be heading as far as maintaining our recertifications, any income changes that occur. And I failed to mention as well, right now, Summit is at 100% occupied. Alexander is sitting at 96. We have 3 vacancies. 2 of them are already in the final steps at the compliance department, and 1 applicant are in the process of completing the first step. So we do have people in place and a plan of action to fill those vacancies, as well on top of addressing the delinquency as well as and once these 2 major projects are behind us, then we can just focus on our day-to-day operations, which would be way simple since we only have 144 units. However, with the cleanup, it seems like over 1,000.
Well, was there you discovered any fraud, waste, or abuse on the part of the former staff?
The only thing that I found was basically lack to complete items as when the resident brought them in, so that when the resident turned in their paperwork to do that change, it wasn't completed to the final step. And as management left, new ones were coming in and they didn't pick up what they left, so all that stuff was just sitting there until now that we're investigating every single household. We're discovering old paperwork in the file, and everything's in place, so the resident did do their part. However, with the exiting and coming in of new staff members, it just, somewhere down the line, the ball got dropped. And so now we're in place to pick it up and get everybody back to where they need to be.
And just to add on to that, our key component here is going to be follow-up. That is something that that we'll be doing just to assure that this doesn't happen going forward.
All right. Let's move forward. Let's see. we are in real estate development, Maynardtown. Carlos.
Although we faced additional delays from Bluebonic Electric Company due to some supply issues in getting hardware, permanent power is finally established at the property. With permanent power, FNH can finally install the vinyl flooring as well as the elevator. FNH will be focusing on completing the project this month, finalizing all the pending work, such as installing the awning at the entrance, the pergola, the remaining doors, trim, all appliances, completing the electrical hot punch, as well as performing the final clean. I am, last week, well, actually this Tuesday, we held the draw meeting. I did let them know that I will be in contact with them on a weekly basis, possibly twice a week, just to assure whether or not there's any delays and see how we can come up with a solution so we can finish this project at the end of the month.
Yeah, Carlos, if I may, when you get close to one being finished before you move the residents, can you let us know so we can go by there and take a look at that and look at the work that's being done?
Most definitely, I can.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Finance, Subra.
Yes, so what's included in the board packet is the financials through July. That's 7 months into the fiscal year. In consideration of time, I'm not going to go through all the programs. The Section 8 programs are doing well. The Housing Authority has had to provide an infusion of funds to the properties to help them out with the cash flow. But they are getting caught up in the occupancy and they are picking up on the delinquency, and we have caught up, and they are also caught up on the HUD subsidy, which was critical. So we are current on the HUD subsidy. So from this point on, they should be getting HUD subsidy on a timely basis. But to date, we are provided about $600,000 in funds that has come out from the Housing Authority, which probably at the end of the year, TCFC would need to make a transfer to the Housing Authority to kind of cover the deficits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much all I have.
Okay.
Question for you. So the continuum of care grant, the vouchers that were overleased, is that money that will never be,
Yeah, that's also part of the 600,000 that was overleasing in the COC grant that it needed to be funded by the Housing Authority. It, HUD would not give us
any additional funds. So are we on track right now to not be overleased for this upcoming year?
Yeah, so let me just speak to that. So, I mean, obviously it's sort of a catch-22. You want to actually maximize the potential of housing folks, and you try to do your best at, projecting forward, and then you're offering incentives to landlords and things, to keep them involved in the program and interested. So we are being a little more conservative than we were last year as far as the lease up, and so we're obviously just a few months into it. So we are trying to monitor that a little bit closer so that we don't get into that situation. But if I had my druthers, I'd rather overlease than to underlease and give money back. I mean, so it's kind of a balance, but obviously you have to sort of figure out where that sweet spot is, and we try to do our best at doing that. So we are sort of trying to be a little more conservative with that number, but it's it's a fine line when you look at that, particularly given the fact that you have changes in the size of the family, you know what I mean, because it's just a grant, and so it's not set in terms of what that will cost for a 2-bedroom versus a 1 or a 3, that sort of thing. So we are being a little more conservative in how we're approaching that this year, given what we faced last year, which was probably an anomaly in terms of what we saw, but we are going to work on that a little bit closer.
Any other questions? Can we skip organizational development? Or
we can. I've already addressed those items.
Board committee reports. Are there any?
You know, government's committee met and, briefly, and, we've got staff to give us a bunch of information, and we're, looking at compiling everything. And we're meeting, I think it's the 18th, what date, September?
Yes.
Yeah, on the 18th, Commissioner got, I don't want to say it.
Getchy, it's all right, it's impossible.
Getchy,
We're gonna get it.
And I had a
Great.
good, open initial meeting. You want to add anything to that?
No, sir, I think you covered it.
Okay, great. Any other board reports?
We did do the real estate committee, and I think we've covered everything.
covered it
we
all?
discussed. Yes.
Okay. This 50th anniversary committee, who's on that?
Mr. Roberts says we are working on an RFP that we're going to be presenting to him ideally the week after next. The 50th anniversary of the organization will be December 23rd of 2025. So we do have a little time, but ideally we will hit the ground running in December of this year for what we believe is a one-year celebration of 50 years of service to this community. So we are working on a draft RFP for Mr. Roberts' review and to brainstorm some thoughts about how we go forward. So we are working on that, and we'll convene soon.
So is there a concern that it's so close to Christmas?
Yeah.
So what we'll probably do, quite frankly, is probably launch at the beginning of the year, as opposed to in December 23rd. Next year, I mean, just tentatively speaking, we'll probably do something in early December and probably put out a news release on the day of. But those activities will probably start in, I'm assuming, depending on what the advice we get from our infamous committee member, but we probably will start somewhere with our big event in late November, early December of next year. But our thought was that we would probably, throughout the year, we wanted to do some sort of series, maybe get one of the newspapers or radio shows to host us monthly to have some discussion about affordable housing and the like, and then quarterly have some sort of event to demarcate the occasion with some grand event at some point later on in the year.
Okay.
Well, I'll be available December 23rd also.
We'll rely on pretty much the entire board for input also.
With your recommendation.
We're getting input.
Yeah.
Okay, on to new and unfinished business, a Board of Commissioners handbook.
Yes, so each of you should have received this.
You received it?
I did.
Hopefully you did. If not, we need to make sure your address is, correct your address. We've been having discussions for some time. When you get an opportunity to sort of peruse this, I really believe it did a good job of talking about a lot of the things that the concerns that the board had. And so rather than reinvent the wheel, what we were suggesting is that we focus ourselves squarely on those documents that we need to codify, specifically the bylaws. And so obviously the governance committee is already in the throes of looking at bylaw revisions. But I think the bylaws coupled with this document would be very helpful. Per Vice Chair Brown's question about ethics, we did pass that on to our legal counsel. And Charlie, did you want to say anything about the thought about the ethics committee and what you thought should happen? I could, but I mean, if you wanted to.
If you want to say something.
Sure. So his recommendation was that we do not form an ethics committee. That we essentially have, the purview would be of myself for the organization, but not an ethics committee in the current form as it's suggested in the personnel policy. It's not something that we think we should go forward. But again, the handbook does talk about ethics. One of the things that the committee could do, bylaws, if they so chose, is to expand on ethics as a topic in the bylaws. as well, and even make reference to the handbook. But we believe that the formation of a committee in and of itself is probably not, is not necessary, wouldn't be appropriate.
This body can handle any issue that it needs to do.
Yeah, and also there's training, and that's one of the things that did everybody, the new members get the schedule for the training?
Yes, we've been sending out.
Yeah,
yes.
I think if people attend that and attend some of the national trainings through Prada or NARO, I think you'll get some more information. Of course, in the Attorney General's office, open meetings, they have a lot of stuff on there also, so there are resources already available. Shouldn't recreate the wheel from our.
So speaking of bylaws, do we have an update on?
That's what we're working on now.
That's right.
That's what we're working on now.
Governance
Yeah,
committee,
that's,
okay.
we met last week and we're gonna meet on the 18th.
Okay.
Well, we may not have any for another couple of months, but we got a lot of information to look at.
Okay.
All right, can we do B, C, and D all together here?
Sorry.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the conferences.
Oh, yes, yes. So we just wanted to mention that, speaking of training, obviously there's some training coming up, and we would like to highly encourage you all to consider those. We can provide additional details so it can be at the top of your inbox about those. But in particular, the FADA conference in January is exceptionally helpful, in my opinion, in terms of commissioner training. It just so happens to be in Miami. So if that's, give some enticement for going. It is a good session though, and they do a really good job as far as training goes. I think Mr. Roberts, you've attended that, FADA in particular, right?
Told that's on my list to go.
And I'm sure it's on your list to go. He needs a refresher, that's what it is. But yeah, so that's essentially.
Okay. Okay, X, future agenda item, not any. You want to?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to add the ED evaluation procedural update.
Yes.
So we can, because that would be October.
So just for the wider board who might not have looked at everything I sent, what we agreed to was that within 60 days of signing, which we're going to do today, we will have an evaluation template that is universally agreed upon. And so for your new board members, this is kind of it's an arduous process in December and January when we're not only doing the CEO evaluation, but we're also reconciling our budget. And so we need to talk about the timing for all of that. And but that's just, so we will have something in hand, probably working with an outside consultant within the next 60 days. And we had also discussed, Patrick, possibly moving the evaluation to January. If you can think of a reason why we shouldn't do that, fine. But if we could reconcile the budget and do the evaluation in January, I think it just makes more sense. So, because we're just like scrambling to get people for input around the holidays, et cetera. So that's where that stands, but we're going to come up with something that we can all agree on that's uniform.
Okay. Did we miss Big? There.
No, they're going to be with the foundation. At the
But we see you.
foundation. Yeah, one more meeting.
Well, why y'all here?
Supposed to be here.
One more.
Okay. Well, I was intending to get that shot for you.
But yes, if you can add that to the agenda. Oh, we have a foundation now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's quick.
Okay. All right. Any reason to go into executive session?
Nope, you did already.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.